Well, I got down and I headed back. We headed back and we had our guns in placement. We had our Pac 75s in position.
Now, what's a Pac 75?
Pac 75 is a paratroop, was a paratroop howitzer. It broke down in 9 pieces. It broke down in 9 pieces and put together in 9 pieces and made for paratroopers. It had a maximum range of 6 miles. And it fired smoke, and it fired a delayed fuse, a time fuse, HE.
And this is something that I don't think people, again...
But it was made and devised for paratroopers after Italy and Salerno and everything, where they were killing them, they didn't have any protection. They made for smoke to protect it. Saved about they claimed to save half of them. Shooting smoke ahead of them, putting smoke ahead of them, shooting fire and shooting. Staying there. That means you had to stay within 6 miles or closer, usually a lot closer, because our radios was about a mile. Packed radios on there. And you had to depend on either telephone or radio, you know, to get your
the Dutch
fire
had
order.
very little love for the Germans by 1944.
And, but anyway,
the resistance was very real, and given the size of the country, in fact, it was massive.
We were already, I went over and got a K-ration box. Broke that K-ration. I was trying to eat that K-ration. We had this crazy nut in the outfit there. And he said, Keeley, I got a souvenir. I got a souvenir. And I looked over at him and I said, well, you got what? He says, I got a souvenir. And he held up part of a skull of that pilot that he went over there and got into that cockpit. And he either cut it off or I don't know how he got it, but anyway, he had part of the skull and blood and hair and everything. And I started throwing up. I started throwing up. The lieutenant come by, he said, what's the matter with you, Keeley? I could just point. He saw that. Oh, he just went crazy. He says, I want you to take that over and bury that. I want it buried 6 months deep. I want you to show me how deep it is. I want it buried deep. Don't you ever do anything like that again. Ever do that. Well, we got rid of it before we went into combat.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that guy was nuts.
Unreliable, you know.
Yeah.
It was fairly easy to bridge that gap.
But anyway,
the critical target that they had was the bridge at Idaho, and although it took them till D+1, they were able to seize
it scattered paratroopers all over that Fort Bragg reservation.
In its movement towards,
in the small towns, in the swamps, all over, outside the reservation, all over. They were wounded and dead paratroopers and wounded paratroopers and everything. It held us up 6 months.
General Gavin's 82nd Airborne Division
before we regrouped and got regrouped and everything, got overseas. And
the high ground around the
of course, they got it in the newspaper. You know, of course, Grandma went crazy. You know.
Your mom heard about it?
Oh yeah, they wrote it. You know, they had it in all the paper.
Yeah.
The 82nd also has to take the
bridge
at Nijmegen and the bridge at Great.
Now, what was the deal about you wanted to go into service and Grandma didn't want you to, but Grandpa did. Your dad, or he allowed you to.
Huh?
That Grandpa Jim, your dad, signed you so you could go in before you were 18.
See, I wanted to go in. I wanted to quit school, go in.
Yeah.
And she says, you don't finish, you finish school, you finish high school before you go in. You can't go in before you finish high school. And I said, I'm going in, I'm going to, you know, I was going. I had to,
This is after Pearl Harbor, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And I went around the corner, and here was my
And
Sergeant Zett coming toward me,
so
the colonel.
I remember it was
We were
at
pretty
the
well organized on that.
breakfast table.
As far as close-up
And,
contact those first few days.
And Mom and I had a fight
In our
going
area,
in.
a few days later.
You can't go ahead or
getting a lot of
Dad got all real quiet and everything. When we got through fighting,
and the crossroads.
he looked over at Mother. He said, "I'm going to sign for him to go in."
Of course, the Germans knew the area.
He says,
Important crossroads.
He says, World War I. He says, all my friends went in World War I, and I wanted to go so bad. And Grandpa Keeley was blind.
Places to go through.
He was blind, and Grandpa Keeley, I had to stay here and farm.
At 10 o'clock.
And I've always resented that, and I've always missed that. I felt I've lost part of my life by not going into service. And he says, I am going to sign for him to go in.
It lasted from 10 o'clock to 11:30.
Of course, that took the heat off me, and
Yeah. He got Grandma's wrath then.
he never wavered a bit. You know, that was it.
Yeah.
So,
And they had a problem because the Germans.
And then how did you
so I
decide?
went down to Leavenworth.
And you couldn't really rush the.
So I went down to Leavenworth on a train. There was 9 of us went down on a train to Leavenworth.
That became a problem.
Went into Leavenworth.
And we're trying to figure out a way to do this. Can we cross the river? Can we cross the canal?
There, and of course they was all saying you're not gonna like it here and all that. You know, like they did in those introductions when you went in there, everything. So I went in there. I'd never heard of paratroopers, you know.
There was about 10 other.
And they had a
Two oars, and we had to, as we.
They had a tent.
The river, we had to use the.
They had a special tent there, and they had a
River. And
captain
about 50%
and a first sergeant
going across, because the crops were on the bank on the other side, firing right
and
down it.
T sergeant, tech sergeant, all dressed up and
going over.
in our uniform.
Incredibly brave.
White helmets,
The wall was hard of the
white silk stocking, white silk gloves,
is a very
white
to make that kind of salt.
blouse,
Just amazing.
square everything. And they stood like rigid, you know, they stood rigid, and they talked right. And went in there, and the paratroopers, what the paratroopers do? What are paratroopers? Well, the chaplain says, we are special forces. We are the very best. We are the tip of the sword, or the tip of the spear. We're the point. We're the one that goes in first. We're the ones that we go in behind enemy lines. We jump in out of airplanes and behind enemy lines and cut them off. And we get special training. Our training and our discipline is everything. For everybody that is recruited, only 30% are kept. 70% are washed out or quit. So he said, we don't, we just take it. It's just a very, very, very best people. Paratroopers. Of course, boy, I ate that up. That's what I wanted. So I told him, I said, I want to sign up right now. He said, you think about it. Well, I told you. But he says the physical condition is grueling and beyond what doctors say physical should be. The discipline, the self-discipline is just as rigid. You are you would have to obey a lieutenant or something. You have to salute a lieutenant. You have to salute a corporal here. And every non-com and everything is treated like a thing. Most of our officers come out of West Point, or West Point graduates.
We were to hold the road open so these tanks and half-tracks.
He says if there's something that
They were linemen.
we don't think you can do,
They were supposed to.
we're going to try it.
To Arnold. They were
So
supposed
I
to
went
go
home. I
across
told
the
Dad.
road and help those guys up there. They were getting killed.
Dad said, "Andrew,